Guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video. I'm so thankful that you guys tuned in today. I sure wish we were out on the water, but as I mentioned, man, this wind has been relentless. If I had a bass boat, it wouldn't really make much of a difference, but since I'm in a kayak, it'll just blow me all around. So fortunately, we're not going to be out there today, but instead, we're going to be rigging up for topwater season. You guys probably are aware that once that water temperature hits about 50 degrees and above, that's when the bass start coming up to the top to feed, frogs, various insects, flies, different things like that. So today I'm going to be showing you my topwater baits, the line that I use for my rods, and my specific rod and reel arsenals for topwater season. So you guys stay tuned, we're about to dig into it. Alright guys, so the first thing I want to talk with you about is my rod and reel arsenals, the different ones that I use for topwater. Now I used to think that there was only really one specific setup that you need for topwater, but as I've grown and learned more about fishing, I learned that, you know, for frogs, things like that, you're going to need a particular setup, and then for your treble hook topwaters, your walking baits, it's best if you have another kind of setup. You don't have to, but if you're able to, you'll probably get the most productive bites and catches like that. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm working with. I actually have not used this rod yet as a topwater rod. I got this during the winter, so I'm really pumped to try this thing out. This is the new Garcia Fantasista X. This is the 7.3 heavy. I paired it up with that Zata reel. This reel only comes in one gear ratio. I believe it's like a 7:1 or it's a 7-speed reel. I've loved this combo so far from what I can tell from it. It's just really light, and I love that about it because whenever you're working a frog, you know, if you have a heavy rod and reel, you're just going to be worn out by the end of the day. So I'm excited to get this thing rigged up and ready for rods, or ready for frogs, I'm sorry. I think it's going to make an awesome setup for that. My other topwater setup is going to be my crankbait and jerkbait rod and reel. So this is my Dobyns Champion XP. It's a, let's see here the exact dimensions. It's a 7-foot medium moderate fast action. It's made specifically for crankbaits, for jerkbaits, for topwater poppers, walking baits, sammies, different things like that. I'm going to actually be using it for whopper ploppers as well. It's just really important that you have a rod that has more of that moderate action to it. Whenever these fish jump up and grab those treble hook baits, your natural tendency is gonna be to swing on them. And whenever you have that more moderate parabolic action that these kind of rods have, it's not gonna jerk the hooks out of that fish's mouth quite as easy. So that's gonna be super important. I'm pairing it up with my Garcia Revo STX. I'm going to be running some 20-pound Suffix 832 Advanced Super Line on this right here. And then on my frogging rod, I'm going to be running the Suffix 832 Advanced Super Line 50-pound braid. I hear a bunch of people going back and forth about the pound test that they use. I found that anywhere from 30 to 50 pound works for what I fish. Some people tend to go to 65 pound, and that's perfectly okay, especially if you're fishing around really thick cover and vegetation. But for where I fish, for the most part, 50 pounds is going to be perfect for that, and I think 20 pounds is going to do just fine for my walking baits. So now that I've shown you guys my setups, I want to go in and show you how I rig, what kind of knot I tie from my fluorocarbon to my braid to get braid on my reels. You know, it's very important. When I was a younger fisherman several years ago, and I didn't know a whole lot about the sport, you guys may know by now, but some of you may not. If you just throw braid on your reel, it's gonna slip. It don't matter how hard you tighten your drag down, that braid is gonna slip on the spool. It just does not cling on to that spool like mono or fluorocarbon does. So I'm going to be showing you guys the knot that I use, that I tie to connect my fluorocarbon to the braid to get it spooled up. It's super easy, simple, and you know, I don't have to worry about it ripping. I actually use this same knot for my spinning setups as well, and I've caught some big fish on those. So it's a great knot, but it's simple as well. So I want to jump into that, show you guys exactly how I set that up, and hopefully you'll be able to see kind of, and I'll try to explain through the process as well. Alright guys, so we are ready to spool this braid up. The first thing I want you to notice though is that you don't need a ton of backup line on your reel. You basically just want to make sure that that spool is covered. You got enough line down there that is covered from the left to the right. That's just going to enable your braid or your line to really grab onto that spool so it's not slipping when you're trying to hook set and reel in that fish when you catch one on the braid. So I hope you guys can see here. I'm going to try to my best to explain how I do this knot. So I got here my 50-pound braid on the top and my fluorocarbon leader on the bottom. This is 20-pound. I normally wouldn't put that big line on there as my backup line, but it was already on my reel, so I'm not going to take it off. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to take this braid and I'm going to loop it like this, okay? My fluoro's on the bottom. I'm going to take and I'm going to cross over my braid over this fluorocarbon, and I'm going to come back into a hole, this hole. So I'm basically just crossing both of the braid and the fluorocarbon, coming back through that hole. And I'm just going to cross it over 5 more times. I normally just do about 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6 coming through. I'm sure there are plenty other great knots out there that are even better than this, but like I said, this is the one I'm using and it's worked for me so far. So yeah, I get it tied, or I get that loop through 6 times, and I just pull it kind of tight until I don't pull it all the way tight, but I just pull it to that point so I can go ahead and do this other side. So I'm going to have this loose end fluorocarbon here, and I'm going to do the same thing that we did with that braid. It's kind of hard to handle because it's been on that spool, but we'll get it here. So this time, my fluoro is going to be on top. It's kind of hard to see, it's really clear. It's going to be on top. I'm going to loop it around, come over this braid here, and come through the hole that we created. Okay, and I'm going to do that 5 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, you're just crossing over that braid and fluoro, putting it through the hole that we created, and then we're going to pull this little tag in almost tight. Oh, where'd it go? Pull it to where it's almost tight there. And what I like to do is I like to wet both ends. Put a little spit on there. And then I wet both ends there, and then I wet the piece in the middle. And then you just take this end, each end, and pull it tight. We're going to leave those tag ends loose for now, and just pull them tight there. And then you got your good knot. Pull it a little tighter, make sure everything's nice and secure, snug down. And as you can see there, guys, you got your knot. I like to take these tag ends and pull them just a little bit too. And there you are, you got your connection knot. And now we'll just spool up the braid after we trim off these ends. This is the same. Guys, the knot that I use to tie my frogs, to tie pretty much everything I use, is going to be the Palomar knot. Super strong knot and super simple to tie. Alright guys, now we're moving on to my my treble hook topwater setup. As you can see there, we got enough line to cover that spool. I didn't mention this earlier when I was talking about my setups, but this Abu Garcia Revo STX here is in the 6:1 gear ratio. That being said, we're going to go ahead and get started here on this same knot again. This time I have my 20-pound braid on top. I got that fluoro coming out of the reel on the bottom. They're just beside each other. And I'm going to take and I'm going to make a loop here with this braid. Keeping them connected to each other. And I'm going to take my line after I cross it over and go through that loop. And I'm just going to do that 5 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to pull it not all the way tight, but just enough that it goes down there. Okay, and I'm going to come down here, do the same thing with my fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon's going to be on top this time. Got that and the braids side by side. I'm going to make a loop with the fluorocarbon, cross it over the braid and the fluorocarbon. And I'm going to go back through that hole that I created. So there's 1. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pull it almost all the way tight. Wet your ends in the middle there. And take your, keep your tag ends loose and pull these 2 tight. And there you go. Secure them one more time, snug and secure. Cut your tag ends. Now you're going to spool it up. Alright guys, we are all spooled up with our braid. We are ready to tie some baits on. So last thing here, but certainly not least, I wanted to go over just a few topwater baits that have become my favorite over the years. I got some frogs here, some poppers, some walking baits, some plopper style baits, and I want to show you my personal favorite. Let's see here. I guess we'll start out with what I tied on my frog rod. You can see here, this is a river to sea bullywah frog. This here, I believe, is in a bluegill color, and it's actually the smaller size. I got another one right here in a different color. It's like a green color. I really like these, man, because these are small and really soft, but they are durable, man. They get tons of bites and have a pretty good hookup ratio. I found these frogs from watching Tactical Bassin'. I've mentioned them before, and they're just high quality frogs at a good price, in my opinion. Covering some more though, here's another solid frog. I got the smaller version of this. This is that Life Target frog in all black. What I really love about these are actually probably the most soft frogs that I have. These and the Booyah Pad Crashers, which I don't have any of, are awesome frogs. And they're super soft, man, so you get a really good hookup ratio with these. Have some really sharp and stout hooks, and come in a wide variety of colors. But what you'll notice with my frogs, I have a bunch of black frogs, some white frogs, and some natural colors. Here's another Life Target frog. I like this color because this is what I really like to use if I'm in some dirtier water. And I use the smaller size for the most part, just because I get more bites, honestly, and I feel like I get a better hookup ratio. But honestly, big ones even catch them. I'll post some pictures catching some big fish on frogs, and tiny frogs at that. This one is actually one of my absolute favorites though. This is the Jackal Kiara frog. I believe I'm saying it right. You can probably see there it's missing an eye. I caught so many bass on this thing, man. It's super durable, chewed all to pieces, but it straight out gets bit. I got that color there and like a bluegill color, and I got one in a black. Love those frogs to death, man. As far as popping frogs go, I got that Spro. You can't go wrong with a Spro bonsai as well. I got the black popping frog, and I have just a regular black frog. And I have another River to Sea Bullywah frog, but this one's actually the popping version. See there. Great frogs. Super durable, man. It's important that you get some durable frogs because, you know, this isn't finesse fishing. You're ripping his lips. You're throwing them in tons of vegetation. You're hook setting hard. So these are frogs that I've come to trust and rely on. Some of my favorite poppers, going to hard baits now. Very expensive, but you got this Megabass Pop X. Great popper, really realistic. And the cool thing about this one is it actually walks side to side too. When you pop it, it goes back and forth. So I really like that one. Another Megabass one, but this is the smaller version. That bluegill color. Caught a bunch of fish on this here. And then this bluegill popper here is the Berkeley Bullet Pop, I believe it's called. I'll link all these down below, guys. And I may be pronouncing some of these wrong, but I'll try to link everything in the description. This one's chewed to pieces too, man. These are just some awesome baits that have caught me a lot of fish. One bait that I have tied on here on my treble hook topwater is new to me. It's the evergreen shallot blows. Another bait that Tactical Bassin has caught a lot of fish on and has turned me on to. I've yet to try it. I bought it, got into it when it was too late last year, so I bought a few because they're so hard to get, and I'm gonna try them out this year. So I can't really say for certain that they've caught me a lot of fish because I haven't used it, but I've seen what the damage that they can do, and they just look absolutely sick. So we're gonna give that a shot. I got a few more of those here on the left. And then I believe this is the Wakasagi color. Just awesome looking baits, man. And what I do, guys, for me, whenever I go fishing, I pick my favorites. Instead of taking, I have several different boxes of Topwater. Instead of taking all of those, I just pick some of my favorites, as you can see here, and put them in this this box and carry it with me. One other bait that I forgot to mention, I don't know how I forgot to mention this, is this Berkeley Chopo. This thing is a beast. It's dirty. It's been, I don't know how many fish this thing has caught me. I actually need to order me some more. They have different sizes of those. I actually personally like those better than the Whopper Plopper itself. I don't know, man. It's just super durable. It starts kicking right away. It has a good hard knock to the water, and I just love it, man. It's caught me some awesome fish. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in, for just seeing how I set my Topwater reels up, the rods I use, my favorite baits. It's almost that time. It actually is that time. Almost time though for me personally to start throwing these baits, and I'm super excited. Can't wait to get some footage of the fish catches on Topwater. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in. Share some of your favorite baits with me down below in the description, in the comments if you don't mind. I'm curious to see what you guys have had success on. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Remember, guys, have a great week and always stay rigged up.